first off, I'm going to start with Tableau conference. So Tableau conference was last week. In full transparency, I was there as an attendee, but Tableau has long been a market leader in the analytics space. Not a surprise. It is a vendor that came out, call it, 20-ish years ago. And at the time, we had a definition of business intelligence, but when we looked at that world, it was mostly companies like Business Objects, Hyperion, Cognos, MicroStrategy, all these really heavy, hard to use technology solutions. And Tableau came in and said, we're really just going to focus in on the data analyst. And that ended up being where they went. This time around for Tableau Next, what I found interesting is a couple of things. One is that they focused in on agentic analytics, so using agents to dig into the BI stuff, but also there's an increasing integration with Salesforce's platform elements. So they're taking in things like Salesforce Flow and turning that into Tableau's workflow automation capability. They're taking Salesforce's data cloud and turning that into Tableau's data layer, really adding pieces where they haven't necessarily had Tableau capabilities before. So I'm curious what you thought about that, Ken.
Well, two things. First off is I think that the whole notion of platform thinking and being able to leverage tools like Tableau in that context make a whole lot of sense.
Mhm.
I think from the functionality that one would typically expect from an end user's perspective, using those tools, I think it opens up a lot of different opportunities as for the person who's consuming, as well as a lot of opportunities for Salesforce to be able to, hey, we have now a broader, more, what would I say? I just lost the word mid thought. Uh, More accessible way of being able to find out about all the different elements that are part of our ecosystem that represent the underlying engine.
Mhm.
I also think it represents a real change in workforce dynamics. Because when we talked about tools in the past, we would talk about them in like a three-tier strategy, like with coding tools, like no code, low code, and developer, high code. With the intro of AI tools, the borders between what we used to, call these three buckets are now more porous than ever, in some cases disappearing entirely. So I think we really do need to start questioning the underlying assumptions around how a given role is defined, what people need to be responsible for, and what the core knowledge, skills, and abilities are that are required to properly interpret what the tools can provide them and how they're going to provide value.
Yeah, I think about this a lot in the data analyst context where back in the day, you made a report and maybe that report would get copied into a document. And that was the
Mhm.
end all and be all. But now you're creating these reports and charts and visualizations, and you might copy and paste that into a presentation, or you might put that into a document. You might
Yeah.
make it accessible with an API. It might be part of its own analytic application. It might be accessed through an agent. There are so many different things that seemingly simple visualization or chart can be now as a data object, as an
Yes.
application piece of the puzzle, and it has to be supported from a no code graphic perspective, a low code perspective, and as actual code for the grown-ups in the room who are still building actual apps, right? So
Yeah.
that's a lot to have to figure out from an IT management perspective, a data management perspective, because you can't just make it one thing and just hope that it works.
Well, it gets worse than that because really, when you think about it, going back to your historical example, in back in the day, it was expected that when I produced that, well, that's what it is. It's an
Static. Yeah.
artifact of unto itself and a point in time snapshot. But really, when you get down to it, now what we're seeing is this can actually be providing a near real time or real time view into what it's trying to actually render and display. So even though there might be a way of capturing that point in time and then using that, fact of the matter is we have to account for the fact that this could be part of an operational dashboard, which will continue to vary, or the use and the context in which we need to hold that item could be constantly changing.
Yeah. So cautiously optimistic about this. I think Tableau's next moves speak towards that future that the data analyst has to think about, where data artifacts, data reports are now living and ongoing and real time. But let's face it, the data world is going to have to adjust to this, because we know what we've expected from data analysts and data reporters for many, many years, and that those expectations are changing really quickly.
Yeah.